So I'm Cintia. I am from Brazil, and I lived in Brazil until I was 11, 12 years old. And then I moved to Florida, and then now I am in Berlin. There was no specific reason for me to move to Berlin. I think it was one of those things that you do, but you don't really think about it. But afterwards, you realize you were inspired by God or the Holy Spirit to do so. But I didn't have like school or a job when I moved, so it was very spontaneous. I saved money and then I moved without a job or work. Then I was like, okay, I'll see what I'm gonna do. And then I did school for like 6 months. So I studied some German, actually not school, but just studying German. And then when I was supposed to go back, I was like, okay, if the Lord still wants me here, I'll find a job and I'll get like a visa. And 3 days before my like the time that I have to stay here ended, I got a job and a visa. So then I stayed. I've been here 6 years now. I think it's always like a roller coaster here because there are moments where you really love the city and you love what the city can provide you, especially if you come from another country. But then there's moments where you're like, oh my God, I don't like it here. I have to go away. So it was never something steady like, okay, this is where I want to stay forever, or oh no, I need to kind of leave all the time. It was always some ups and downs, which usually is attached to the weather. But then you have like a really good job and then you start to make friends and you start to have a community, but then the people in your community leave and then you're like, okay, maybe I should leave as well. So it's never like a steady thing here. It's always a roller coaster, which I think it can make you more resilient, I would say. If you're able to survive Berlin, you can survive anywhere. I think Berlin gives you an opportunity to do whatever you want, I think. For me, I think my favorite thing, I'm gonna sound a bit very business, but I would say my work, because I worked in the US before and it was really toxic environment. And then here, you have 30 days of holidays. It's a little bit more work and life balance. And because of the good salary, you do have opportunity to travel and to go to other places. So that's my favorite thing about Berlin and Germany, I would say. The weather, I think that's on top of the list. There's something culturally also here, but I was just in London in the airport, and I was like, oh, why people are not organized and making lines, because that's very German. But so I do see some German. I can't say the whole culture German, because I see a lot of German things in me nowadays, which is funny. And it's things that before I'll be like, oh my God, that's so annoying. But now I'm like, wait, when I don't have it, and that happens all the time when I'm not in Germany, I'm like, where is the order? Where is the line? Why can't we just make a line? Or whenever the people are going super fast on the supermarket here, before I was like, why are they rushing? What's the rush? And then now when I'm in a supermarket, like in Brazil, and they take their sweet time, and I'm like, can you hurry up? So I think the weather is the worst thing about here. Some part of the culture, because it's very different to what I'm used to, but not all of it. I can't say like the whole thing. There's a lot of good things about their culture as well. But part of it, like being more distant and more very strict, I think. When it comes to like personal things, that's a bit tough. If it's in the workplace, then I think that's fine. But like in personal life, it's a bit hard to have this like harsh personalities, if that makes sense. I'm not sure if I'm gonna answer this correctly, but I feel like my relationship with my family, of course, is a bit challenging because they're far away. So it's really hard to be part of their everyday life and what's really going on. So that's really hard. And I think, but there's one thing that being in Germany, I also dated one German guy, and it taught me also like how to be a bit more balanced in relationships. I mean, they are very extreme, you know, like very cold, like I don't know, very distant. And Brazilians, they're like, you are attached to the hip with that person, which is also not healthy. So I think in some relationships, romantic relationships, I think it taught me the balance. Like I know I don't want this cold thing, but I also can't do this like this overly attached is also not healthy. And then overall, I think another thing that I learned with Germans is that they're able to have conflict and give you like something that's bothering them, or, you know, a negative feedback, and still want to be your friend. And in my culture, it's like, if you want to say something not positive, you have to like dance around the subject, be very careful. And it's just too much, you know? And then I think that being here, it made me realize, okay, I can get negative feedback from somebody, or like somebody, I mean, we're all humans, you know? And not be so offended by it, and be like, okay, thank you for telling me, and kind of like try to work on it and not be offended with the person. So it helped me have, I think, healthier relationships, to be honest, being here. And also helped me be okay with myself, because before I was always surrounded by people, always had people around, and that's not a bad thing, but like emotionally dependent on people. And then now I feel like, oh, I can actually enjoy like a long time and also enjoy time with people. So it helped me be a little more independent, for good or bad, I don't know. I think also it goes back to like, when you move, you get out of your safety net that you have. It just makes you more aware, I think, of other people, other cultures. It makes you less self-centered, I think, also, because everything you're like, oh, my feelings, my. And then when you move somewhere else, it kind of like, where there's so many different cultures, different perspectives, different walk of life, it makes you more aware of others. It made me see the world as diverse as it is, instead of just, oh, this is how people live and how they should grow up and this and that. Yeah, it's been eye-opening, even though like in the US, it's also very like different cultures and stuff, but everybody follows the same path. And here you don't. And sometimes I'm also questioning, I'm like, oh, why doesn't this person do this way and that way? But that's just how it is. Like, okay, it's people's life and choices, and Berlin specifically gives the people that room to navigate a bit how they wish, for better or worse.